Hello and welcome back. We're gonna be making some more music-inspired desserts today. So last time I was looking at song lyrics. This time I tried to find some interesting food moments in popular music videos, which was a whole lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. Especially like sweets and treats tend to come up in music videos quite a lot, sometimes even when there's no mention of food in the song itself. Alright, so I think it just makes sense for us to start with the ultimate pop classic, Cake by the Ocean. A song that simply just talks about getting to enjoy some dessert while being next to open waters. I'm sure there's absolutely no hidden meaning there. DNCE really has a talent for coming up with the catchiest songs. I would highly advise you to also listen to TV in the Morning, Lose My Cool, Man on Fire, and Kissing Strangers, featuring just, Nicki Minaj. This music video, directed by Gigi Hadid, amongst others, revolves around a cake fighting contest at the beach, which, thematically fits. For this recipe, I decided on a 3-layered vanilla and orange sea salt cake. I've made a couple sponge cake recipes here in the past, but this one has to be my favorite so far. Preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius and thoroughly grease 3 round cake tins. They don't all have to be the same exact size, just somewhere around 20 to 23 centimeters in diameter. In a large mixing bowl, combine all your dry ingredients: flour, baking powder, sugar, and salt. Combine your wet ingredients in a separate bowl: vegan cream, vegetable oil, apple cider vinegar, orange juice, vanilla, and orange zest. Pour the wet ingredients into the dry, mix everything up until smooth, and divide the mix evenly between the 3 pans, so just fill them up about 3/4 of the way. Then bake them for 26 to 30 minutes or until golden brown, and when you poke it with a toothpick or a dry piece of spaghetti, it comes out clean. As the cakes are cooling down, work on the frosting. I'm gonna give you guys 2 options here: cashew or buttercream. I would definitely suggest going for cashew. Have a lot of cashews boiling in a pot of water for 45 minutes to an hour. By the way, the frosting blends together the best while the cashews are still hot, or warm at least. Yeah, you're probably gonna have to blend up all the ingredients in 2 batches. The drained and boiled nuts, a liquid sweetener of some sort, some thick soy yogurt, lemon or lime juice, sea salt, and if you wish, also some lime, lemon, or orange zest. In order to make some buttercream frosting, you'd have to cream together some room temperature vegan butter and a little bit of sea salt first until that's white and fluffy. And then add 3 to 4.5 cups of icing sugar. Add the sugar 1/2 cup at a time until you're happy with the consistency. Without this little dough scraper here, I would be lost. I really should take like a cake decorating class at some point. I feel like there's some tricks that I don't know about. If it gets a bit messy, take a break and let the cake chill in the fridge for maybe 30 minutes. Oh my god, the day I made the buttercream cake, it was probably like 27 degrees in my kitchen. And in Germany, it's not common to have ACs at all, so I was putting this into the fridge like every 2 minutes. Before serving, top your cake off with some strawberries and eat it by hand for a more authentic Cake by the Ocean cake experience. Last week I hosted a spontaneous little Instagram meetup. It was really great fun. I got to meet some of you guys and you helped me eat all this cake. So thank you so much to all the people that showed up. It's really cool. Now moving on to the band that everyone seems to be talking about right now, Måneskin. The way they just don't have a bad song. Some of my current favorites include Moriro Dare, new song, and Fear of Nothing. I Wanna Be Your Slave is also really good. They recently dropped a video for that song, and there's this shiny apple in the thumbnail that has razor blades stuck inside it. It only appears in the video for a few seconds. I'm not really sure what that apple exactly stands for, what it means. If you have an idea, leave your theories down below. Red candied apples apples was my first thought here. I thought it'd be really cool to make these. I did not expect all the chemistry that goes into making candied apples. It is so difficult to get the temperature right, especially if all you have is this meat thermometer that came with the apartment. It took me 3 tries to get it somewhat right. Basically, you thoroughly wash some apples with hot water, then in a small to medium sized pot, you let some water, corn or agave syrup, sugar, and salt come up to a boil. Also add some red food coloring, that one's vegan by the way, and then you allow this to boil until it reaches the hard crack candy stage, which is between 146 and 154 degrees Celsius. As soon as that happens, take it off the heat, and then you quickly dip your apples in there. The apples you've hopefully prepared with some lollipop sticks or bamboo straws. I also tied some of them up with a piece of yarn for taking the photos later. If the temperature of this mix is too low, the candy will just slide off at some point. If it's too high, it'll burn and turn your apples into straight up poison. Do not eat these if they look like that. Also, there's no need to purchase an excessive amount of razor blades and stick these in there. I just did that. As we can see, this is not the easiest, most actionable dessert, so I thought I'd give you guys a second, more wholesome and foolproof option. This is a super simple single baked amaretto apple. Amaretto, Italy, Måneskin. There's a connection there somewhere. Preheat your oven to 190 degrees Celsius. In a small bowl, combine all the ingredients for the filling: small cut oats, a pinch of salt, coconut sugar, a few crushed walnuts or almonds, tablespoon of almond butter, and a teaspoon of melted coconut oil or vegan butter. Set that aside and grab a firm red apple. Carefully cut out the top of the core using a sharp pointy knife, and then using the back end of a small spoon, simply cut out the rest of the core. Like all the seeds, you still want the bottom to stay intact. Add a squeeze of lemon juice to the center first, then fill that with the almond and oat mix. Anything that doesn't fit, just add it on top. Add another sprinkle of dry oats on top, and then place this into a small oven-proof dish, which you're gonna fill with about 1/4 cup of water, plus about a shot of amaretto. Of course, you can easily make multiple apples and bake them all at the same time. It's gonna be piping hot for a bit, so let it sit for a few, then top it with whatever you want. Vegan yogurt, vegan ice cream, whipped cream, and perhaps also some butter syrup, which I'll share the recipe for in just a moment. This tastes so good. Very Christmassy though. Okay, so butter syrup. You might already know what's coming next. If you ever find yourself being bored, search up BTS funny interview moments on YouTube.
I love your sexy brain.
Oh, you saw my brain?
I think it's so interesting. They have this professional superstar persona on stage, but then in real life, they're just this chaotic, adorable set of characters.
Next. What is that?
In the music video for the song Butter, we've got a shot of these delectable, that a word? Looking pancakes, which must have been them hinting at the music video for permission to dance, because here we've got some pancakes again. I know, I'm very smart. I've made pancakes on this channel many times, that's nothing new, but this insanely tasty butter syrup that you can pour over your pancakes or waffles or baked amaretto apples, I just had to share. To a small saucepan, add some dark sugar, water, and salt. Bring this up to a boil, then turn the heat down to medium and let everything simmer for 4 to 5 minutes before you add 3 tablespoons of vegan butter, letting that dissolve and continue to simmer for another 1 to 2 minutes. Then take that off the heat. Let it cool for a few minutes and then pour this into a heat-proof glass jar and then serve immediately. If, or I should say when, the butter and sugar mix eventually separate, just give it a quick stir before serving, or if needed, you can also warm up the jar in a pot of hot water for a few minutes. Make sure the jar is sealed then. In order to make the pancakes, as always, combine wet ingredients first. Mix together the dry ones separately, then combine the two. I added some orange peel and vanilla to flavor these. Fry the cakes for 2 to 3 minutes over medium heat in a preheated pan with some coconut oil. Feel free to make them a bit bigger so they match the ones in the music video better. Serve them with a piece of butter and the butter syrup. Yum yum yum. Next up is Billie. Happier Than Ever is about to be released any moment now, depending on when I post this video. I can't wait to listen to it. I bet the album is gonna flow really nicely. Like, for example, have you ever noticed that NDA just ends with the beginning of Therefore I Am? In Therefore I Am, she's running around an empty mall with a pretzel and a glazed donut in hand. So I thought for her dessert, why not combine the two and make some glazed donut-shaped pretzels? To a small bowl, add some lukewarm non-dairy milk and sugar. Give that a quick stir. Then sprinkle over the dry yeast and set that aside to activate in peace for 5 to 10 minutes. Meanwhile, inside a large mixing bowl, combine some white spell flour and salt. Pour this into the big bowl. Mix everything with a spoon first. At this point, I like to add the oil. Then get your hands in there. Knead for about 5 minutes. In the beginning, the dough might be a bit sticky, but rather than adding a bunch of flour to your surface, it really helps much more to just oil your hands with an additional teaspoon of oil. Pop this into another bowl, cover it with a dish towel, and let this rise for 1 hour in a warm spot somewhere. I put it inside my oven with the lights on only. Once the rising time is up, you give it another quick knead, and then cut it into 6 to 7 equally sized pieces. Each one you're gonna roll into a string and then form that into a ring. Keep the holes more on the larger side, since these are gonna puff up quite a bit when baking. Let the pretzels proof, it's a new word I learned recently, for another 30 minutes on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Meanwhile, grab a small bowl and combine some baking soda and hot water in there, and then generously brush your pretzels with this. Also preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius now. If you feel like the holes are getting a bit too small, then readjust the shapes with your hands, like stretching everything out a bit. And then bake the quote-unquote donuts for 18 to 22 minutes. If you're going for the classic powdered sugar route, then combine a bit of powdered sugar, oat milk, and some melted vegan butter until smooth. Yeah, feel free to make the glaze a bit more thin by adding a bit more non-dairy milk here. If that is a little too sweet for you, which I can very much understand, either just lightly drizzle the glaze on there or go for some melted white or dark chocolate instead. Their color here kind of reminds me of the color palette that Billie chose for the album cover. Or go ahead and just add a few drops of black food coloring to your powdered sugar glaze, and that's gonna give your pretzels a more of an NDA sort of look. Once they're set, serve immediately. I tried to make regular donuts as well, using a different batter here. Those turned out very bad. Like, way too done on the outside and not done enough on the inside. I still brought them to the picnic though, so if any of you ended up having to eat those, I'm sorry. Alright, that is it for this little dessert journey. Thank you for coming along. Let me know in the comments which artist or song you would love to see on here next. Feel free to like this video and subscribe and all that, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!